Hello and welcome to video GTM04 overview of Golf Tournament Manager, and thank you for your interest. This video uses the trial database for an 8-player couples tournament played over 2 days to give you an overall sense of how Golf Tournament Manager works and how to plan and execute a tournament. So here we have the splash screen. It's used to enter the tournament and put all the structural planning data and scores in. Save and exit the tournament so that you get your data saved. Update league handicaps with another Tough Shot league handicap system program. Import courses and our golfers this from another Tough Shot Golf Tournament Manager file. And delete all tournament data, creating a brand new tournament. So choosing Enter Tournament, you'll notice there are 6 tabs across the top. You may need to use a scroll bar if, depending on your display. However, you define courses here on the Courses tab. You can define up to 6 tees for each course. All of this information is on a club scorecard. And this one only has like 4 tees because that's all that was needed for the players we were going to use. If you're a pro shop, you're interested in setting up the course start holes, depending whether it's a shotgun or a regular one. If it's a shotgun, what kind of tee load you're going to have in each hole. So now selecting golfers. Here is where you define golfers by name, the tee they use, their handicap, and whether they're playing or not. There's no limit to the number of golfers, and a golfer is someone who is entered but has a cleared playing toggle. So if you can enter as many golfers as you like, but only those that are marked as playing are actually playing in the tournament by this checkbox. So this trial database is a limit of 8 players, so we've got only 8 golfers having their playing toggle checked. You'll notice that hovering over an entry field will give you a tooltip. This occurs throughout the database. This is a good time to point out the record selector, which is this little arrow box here. We're currently looking at a golfer table made up of multiple records, with each record has multiple fields. To change information, it's good practice to click on the record selector to indicate which record you're dealing with, so that Access knows which record you have, and interested in working with the fields that are within that record. While you may ignore this best practice with small amounts of information, when the amount of information becomes large, you'll need to remember to select the record first. So, to choose a golfer's playing, merely click on the checkbox. Licensed databases have higher maximum player counts or unlimited player counts. It's useful to enter email addresses so that you can later export them to email tournament results. ABCD ratings can automatically be assigned to players with this button. I previously assigned them. Dummy golfers can be defined if you want to plan a tournament without real golfer names. You may not know who they're going to be, but you may know how many of them. So dummy golfers can be marked as playing, but you're not allowed to use the scoring tab with dummy golfers on the roster. So every time you pick, if you have dummy golfers on marked as playing, every time you create a new one and pick a real golfer, it's going to ask you to swap out one of those dummy golfers. Private teams can be defined from existing individual players or golfers, whether this is checked or not. So this is a couples tournament. These private teams can be made up of 2, 3, or 4 players. This happens to be the couples tournament, so that there's 2 players for each private team, and it's marked as playing. Not only is Betty Patras and Albatross an individual player here playing, they are also a private team marked as playing together as a team. Pro shops may use this when running a tournament. 3-player groups, 4-player groups that are joining the Pro Shops tournament. You would create the individual, mark them as playing, and come in here and create the playing private team. Now selecting tab Basic Data. This is an optional name for the tournament. This is an area where you put labels for events. And that's all they are, just labels to tie games, rounds, and prizes together. This is where you define flights, because flights are later on going to be associated to courses. But a flight is basically contains a number of players that compete for a set of prizes for an event played on a particular course. Here's where you relate the flight to the course. And here's where you add the rounds, the round date, the tee time. And for pro shops, you may toggle on shotgun start, which would populate tee groups according to the course settings in the tab courses area. Now selecting tab Relate Data. This button sets the default options for all of the events and game relationships that you establish down here. Once you establish an event and game relationship, you can change its options after the fact. So you define round and flight relationships here, event and round relationships here. There's an important concept here. Teams do not necessarily have to play together as a T group on a T box. So to force teams to play together as a T group, you check this use team for T groups checkbox before picking clear and reassign. The clear and reassign button is the heart of the entire program. It automatically assigns players to flights, teams to T groups based on the information at this point and the selection of the assignment option. For example, shown here are the number of types of arrangements one can make with players. This is a 2-player team, private team situation, so we'll be picking that. You pick OK for the notification. It will come up with another notification warning you about these areas down here, these 2 square areas. This area is for editing teams manually, and this area is for editing T groups manually. And as long as when you make a change here, it could get overridden if this button is ever pressed again or launched again automatically. So it's important to keep some notes here if you're going to manually change things. The reports are fine. You're not changing anything with a report. So if you're at a pro shop at this point, you might find it interesting to get cart signs because you can go over the T area, get a report, and pick up the golf cart signs, and you view them. First page will be blank because it's got. So this is these are the cart signs that you can use. Automatically filled in, you just fill in the cart number. And close that there. Now selecting tab Cost Prize Plan. This is the area where you define all of the prizes for each event. The tournament budget and cost per player are rolled up to the top. And when you're done making this plan that you're accepted it, and before the tournament begins, it's wise to freeze the budget, and this protects you from inadvertently changing something that would change this data. Now selecting tab Scoring. Before the tournament starts, you can print out custom scorecards for each T group. It may be a little counterintuitive, but you have to go down here to get results because you want to get to this button that is reports all results. So let's do that. We'll pick get results and it'll do its thing. And we'll pick reports all results. Up at the top here is handicap player scorecards. We'll view it. Bring this up, bring this over. We'll enlarge this a little bit so you can see it. So this scorecard is for group number 1 on start hole number 1, and these are the 4 players that are on that tee box. And it shows there's Albatross, he's a 10 handicap, and it shows the individual holes that have this. And it also, everything in blue is what we ask the players to fill in their gross scores on. So I've gone to local document shops and printed this on cardstock. It works real well. The players like it, and you get the exact information you need to fill in the scoring. So let's go back here and we'll go into enter scores. So they've came back from the first round and they're ready to have the scores entered. This was filled in earlier, but you fill it in and you go on. Now pro shops probably wouldn't use the hole by hole scoring used in this demo. Instead, they'd probably use team score total entry games so that they'd only get a 1 score for each team. But at any rate, you can get results from the first round by picking that button and viewing and posting the scores. This was won by this team. They won $4, which is Darlene Dubber and Justa Dubber. And so if we post these scores and the treasury is deducted, all of that happens, and there's all kinds of reports behind all of this. If your Windows default printer is PDF, you can print the reports to PDF and email them to your tournament members. So now I'm just going to kill the window. We hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching. The next video is GTM07, which builds a simple 4-player, 1-round tournament example step by step. And always, don't forget to save and exit.